What better way to listen to the Stay Woke podcast than listen to it wearing a Stay Woke or Wokest t-shirt from royaltyshop.bigcartel.com. My personal favorite is the red and white one. So head over to royaltyshop.bigcartel.com to get one today. Again, that's royaltyshop.bigcartel.com.
You're now tuned in to the hottest podcast in the world, the Stay Woke podcast, right here on TheSonicBreakdown.com.
Man, it's time to wake up.
Welcome back to another Stay Woke podcast. This is D. Ray Brinson, and you know the Stay Woke podcast is presented by TheSonicBreakdown.com. If you haven't checked out an article or a review, definitely head over there now and check out one of our articles or review. Also, if you haven't checked out Could You Be More Specific, which is a show hosted by Jonathan Steele that airs every Tuesday and Thursday, that is part of the Stay Woke Podcast Network. So definitely check that out, leave a comment, as well as let us know what you think about that show. So today's going to be another new music segment, and it's going to be the completion of the Kanye's 5 album review. And so that means we're going to be reviewing Teyana Taylor's album, which is K.T.S.E, which is Keep the Same Energy. And as I've stated before, I'm going to break down kind of the cover and then the title, and then we'll get more into the album. And unfortunately, everybody, Trav couldn't be here today, but you know he'll definitely be on another podcast in the future. Definitely give him a shout out and a like on social media. When you look at the cover kind of gives you that, to me, that impression that it's going to be nostalgic, sexy, and sultry. Just by the fact that, one, again, her position, the limited clothes that she's wearing, and the fact that she's on the bed. Those give you that sexy and sultry indications. And then what gives me the nostalgic or older school kind of feel is the way that the image is kind of distorted and kind of grainy-ish, as well as the comforter on the bed. It reminds me of my grandmother's comforter, to be honest with you. And I'm not throwing shade or anything, but that's the feel that I got. And then when you listen to the album, that's the type of feel that the production provided. Very soulful, very, old school. The sounds and the music that I listened to as a result of my grandmother. The Temptations, the Four Tops, the OJs, the Delphonics, Atlantic Starr, those kind of older retrospective, actually those older nostalgic songs is what you feel. And that's pushed, especially with the first track, No Manners. And actually, let me touch on the title for a second as well. Keep the Same Energy just gives me the feeling of the energy that I get from Teyana Taylor anytime I see her is very blunt, real, unapologetically herself. And that's kind of what I think that she was trying to intimate with that title of she's going to keep that same energy. She's going to be who she is. And hopefully you'll feel that in it expressed on this album. And with No Manners, I really love the production on that song. I really wanted Nas or Hove or a real great storyteller and lyricist to kind of be in that production because of just how introspective it felt through the production. I think she did a great job introducing it, giving us the vibe, as well as introducing us to her and kind of like what she's about. And then that transitions to Gonna Love Me. It has a soul feel that kind of has a 90s R&B atmosphere that's created through it. And then that kind of feel is followed out throughout the album, but it changes decades in genre, or not genres, but decades. Because after that, when you get into issues / Hold On, which to me touches on the fact that, every relationship has issues. And if the relationship is real, you find a way to hold on and make it work. Because it will take work to make any relationship work, and it takes compromise and all those aspects. And I think that's kind of what it touches on this particular song. And like I said, the soulful R&B feel is propelled throughout this whole album. But on this particular album, it has a more 80s to a late 70s era feel with it. Hurry is the next track on it, and really, Hurry's not. I don't really enjoy Hurry too much. I'm not really feeling it, and maybe it's because Kanye's on it. I don't know, but it's just not. It's my least favorite track of the entire album. And after that, you have Three Way, and there. One more thing as well. I'm sorry. There is a difference between the other 4 albums and this one is the fact that all of the other 4 albums has 7 tracks. This one has 8, so it does deviate in that manner, but the runtime is relatively about the same. This is, I think, 23 minutes, and I think the longest was 26 minutes for the Kanye West produced albums. As I was saying, when you get to Three Way, to me, Three Way has a Janet Jackson kind of sensual vibe through it, and not to say that she's biting or anything like that. It just feels Janet Jackson inspired and carrying on that kind of sensual torch. And Three Way, I do enjoy Three Way, and it can be taken to a lot of different ways based off of the title that is sexual three way or menage a trois, or you can take it as from the aspect of making room to love others in your relationship, not necessarily in a sexual manner, but in emotional or mental capacity. Kind of where I kind of also saw it as a possibility. Rose in Harlem which is the next song on the album, is my absolute favorite song on this album. To me, it brought me to scenes from Luke Cage, and I think that's a result of the fact that I've been watching a lot of Luke Cage lately, but also to the fact that one of the main characters in Harlem is more than just a scene or location. I mean, one of the main characters in Luke Cage is Harlem. It's not Harlem in that show. It's not just a scene. It's a character. It stimulates and pushes the plot. It stimulates and pushes the narrative between the characters. It drives characters. In regards, Bushmaster is driven as a result of feeling not belonged to Harlem, or not that he feels he needs to reclaim it. And so that's kind of maybe why this song brings me to that imagery. But I do like also the fact that her cadence, how she sings in the song, it has kind of a rapper's cadence as well. And some people say that about Jhené Aoki when it comes to some of her songs. And the other things that this brought me to was To Pimp a Butterfly, because of the poem that's the backbone or the core of that album. And so this kind of is reminiscent and playing off of that idea of being able to something beautiful coming out of dark and dismal circumstances. The growth and the evolution of the production is really smooth, and I really enjoyed that. But it also has a grittiness, and so that juxtaposition adds texture to the production, and it also adds to the theme of a Rose, the more smoother part of it, and Harlem being the more gritty, combining those two themes. One of the greatest parts of the production to me was the end, how it ended with the violins was just it was just simply beautiful. Never Would I Have Made It has a great feel and message. It's very endearing. It's very endearing, and it shows her humbleness, even though she is a blunt, unapologetically herself. So that can sometimes come off as being overly confident or cocky to some. But this song kind of reels that in and shows you, that she is humble, that she does appreciate and understand the gifts and the gifts that she's been awarded as a result of her talent. So I really just enjoyed that. And I kind of wish that the album ended right there. Personally, I wish that the album ended right there, because WTP or Work That Pussy is not quite my feel. It doesn't resonate with me. It's not the type of sounds that I like, the type of energy or BPM. Nothing against it. It's just not necessary for me. And I can see the subset of people that it would work for, or the subset of people that enjoy those type of sounds. And I'm a low BPM kind of guy. I've stated that before, that I'm more like 85 BPM. That's kind of my pocket. But I do definitely see, and it does, like I said, all of these kind of pay homage to a certain decade to me. And this one pays homage to a decade or a movement or a feel. And this one goes towards that Vogue, that era when the rise of Madonna kind of period, where we were being more open and free of our expression of others and how they wanted to express themselves. So I think that's interesting track. But again, like I said, it didn't work for me. So now that we kind of went through this, I kind of want to break down quickly the order of how I would rate the Kanye albums. Number 1 for me would be the Kid Cudi Kanye West collaboration, K.T.S.E Ghost. I just really enjoy that album. There's no particular song on that album that I don't like, I can let it play from beginning to end. And like I said, Reborn is probably my favorite song out of all of the songs produced out of all of these albums. So that might also add to why it's so high on my list. Number 2 is going to be Nasir, or Nas's album, Nasir. I really enjoyed that album as well. There's actually, I take that back. There is one song that I do skip, and that's Everything. Everything else on that album I play. I will skip everything. So that's why it didn't surpass the Kid Cudi Kanye album. And I really also enjoyed Simpler Things and Adam and Eve. I'd say Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve is probably my second favorite song out of all of the albums under Reborn. And so again, that's what probably adds to the reason why it's number 2 on my list over Pusha T, which is number 3. Pusha T, Daytona. I enjoy every song on that album. The only thing is, as was made aware to me through a conversation I was having with one of our followers on Instagram, was we were talking about how with Pusha T's album, it does feel short now in retrospect. I believe on the podcast I said that I felt complete, but now looking back and listening to the other albums and how they feel fleshed out, Pusha T's album doesn't feel like it isn't fleshed out, but it does make me, after listening to it, wanting more. And I think that's a result of, as I was made aware with our conversation on Instagram, I think it's because of Infrared. Infrared being that last track makes me feel like the album isn't over. Whereas Simpler Things, with Nas's album, it feels like an ending track. It feels like that is the conclusion. Where, like I said, with Infrared, you still feel like you're expecting something else to come after that. And so that's why Pusha T's is number 3. Number 4 is going to be the Teyana Taylor album. I really enjoy that album as well. Well, I won't say I really enjoy it. I think it's a good album. I do think it's a very good project. I think it's a very good debut album. I don't like Work That Pussy or WTP that much, and Hurry. So that's 2 tracks. And so that's why I mix it number 4. And then you have Kanye's album Ye as the 5th one. And for me, lyrically is the reason why that didn't make it higher. Production-wise, it's very good. There's really no production on that album that I didn't enjoy. It's more of the lyric and the content that pared it down for me. So that's my list. Let me know what your list is. Let me know which ones you thought, and let us know what you thought about all of the reviews that we've done regarding the Kanye West produced albums. And also, definitely leave us 5 stars if you can. We appreciate that, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now I want to go into the Everything Is Love album by The Carters, which is Jay-Z and Beyonce. I'm going to kind of break that down as well a little bit. First of all, I did not know that they were going to be coming out with the album, so that was a shock. And it came out on Father's Day weekend, that Saturday. There were some things in regards to it that was kind of iffy because they were rushing to get the album out for that Saturday. So it kind of felt like they were kind of trying to slight Nas in that regard. And their reason was that they were trying to get it out for Father's Day weekend. To me, if that was the case, then they kind of should have released it on Sunday, which was Father's Day, so that it would have gave Nas kind of 2 days for people to kind of digest and listen to it as best they could. But who knows? Maybe that is the real reason, give or take. I don't know. And when it's all said and done, it's really not going to matter. Nas's album was good. This album is good as well. Just to talk about the cover for a second, I thought it was fitting because you have 2 black people, one getting their hair braided and the other one braiding the hair in front of the Mona Lisa in the Louvre. I luckily had the fortune of visiting the Louvre and seeing the Mona Lisa. So there was definitely nothing going on like that when I went there. And that definitely, I would imagine, had to be a first. But it also shows that, to me, I took it as us doing our everyday thing is just as special and just as great and just as influential as the Mona Lisa is. It's just as poetic. Us braiding our hair, because what we do is magic. What black people do is magic. We create out of nothing. So I kind of think that's what they were kind of touching on. The first track is Summer. That is definitely the feel that you get, is summer, happy, uplifting, smooth feel leading into the production of the album with, like I said, a nice uplifting vibe. and definitely setting the tone that this is going to be a summer song or a summer album. Ape Shit, like I said, for this one, I don't have much to say about it that hasn't already been said. I love the imagery of the video. I love what it represents. I love the energy that this track produced, but it's definitely a commercial track. That is what it's made for, but the content isn't as commercial as you would think that the song actually sounds like. So I definitely appreciated that. For me, the next track, which is Boss, is, I'll say right now it's in the top 3 of the songs that I enjoy the most. And for Boss, it's just the fact that the lines in Boss, just, it has some of my favorite lines from Jay in it, and just the theme of it really is inspiring. I'm just going to quickly go through the line that stuck out to me instantly the first time that I heard it is, and I put it up on Instagram, so the line goes, all facts, no caps, false. Nigga, you not a boss, you got a boss. Niggas get jerked, that shit hurts. I take it personally. Niggas rather work for the man than work for me. The reason why that particular line stuck out to me is as a result of being an entrepreneur and trying to start my own businesses, especially in the very beginning of starting my businesses, I was going around my friends and people in my circle that are black, that I was like, I'm trying to start a business. I want to start this business. I want us all to rise as a result of my business. As a line that I'll get into later of what's success if everybody around you isn't rich, but you're the only rich one. Like I didn't want to have that feeling. I didn't want that. So I was trying to get friends and people that I know to come on and join the business or be a part of it, so that whatever profits that I gain from it, so do they, and then they can use it to start their own ventures or whatever that they wanted to do, so that we all can gain the financial freedom that Jay and Beyonce are talking about. But unfortunately, a lot of those situations were impeded by, I don't want to say, in some cases it was just straight hate. In other cases, it was just bad timing. In other cases, it just on different pages and different viewpoints. And in other cases, it just wasn't right, and no ill will or nothing like that. But in the cases that kind of Jay-Z was talking about is, in some of the cases, some of the people were coming to me and kind of shooting my idea down and saying that, you're a fool for trying to do this, or why are you doing this? Which I translated into the idea of, well, just because you don't think you can do it, that doesn't mean that I can't. And I'm glad that I took that advice. My businesses are flourishing and they're growing. But that's really why that stuck with me, because like I said, I don't want to be successful if I can't help other people reach that same level of success with me. So that's kind of why that song and that part of that line really resonated with me tremendously. Then after that, you have Nice, and Nice has that Houston bounce. Beyonce definitely bringing that Houston feel to it. But it also has a nice, inspirational, positive message to basically reach for the stars. Like, we're all nice. We all have the ability. We're all similar to what we talked about on Adam and Eve, about that we're all kings and queens. We all have tremendous potential within us all. It's just about finding that potential and tapping into it and maximizing it on it. And I think that's kind of where they're talking about that. And one of the lines that really stuck out to me, again, was from Jay-Z of, I have no fear when you can do anything nice. And then he also says, I have no fear of death. We all born to do that. Just that idea of like, get past these kind of imaginary, similar to K.T.S.E Ghost. What I said about that is like, we all have to get past these fake and imaginary walls that we're putting up in front of ourselves to stop us from reaching our greatness. In business terms, it's scarcity beliefs. There are things that you put in your way to kind of prohibit you and stop you from reaching your true potential. And so that's kind of where I took that. Now, 713 was an interesting song. It definitely has that still Dre feel. And I found something interesting regarding that is that Jay-Z wrote the entire verse for still DRE. That explains why the feel of this song is similar to that one. But I also enjoyed how they were uplifting black women instead of breaking down the black woman. They were building her up. The track also highlights to me that this album is the third act to a 3-act play. Lemonade being part 1, 444 being part 2, and this being the conclusion, and a happy ending conclusion, or the storybook ending conclusion that, they made it through the trials and tribulations. Lemonade, Beyonce was hurt, and she was in a place of comfortability, and then she got hurt as a result of the indiscretion that Jay-Z provided. And then 444 was Jay-Z dealing with the result of the hurt that he caused Beyonce, and how he was trying to make it through that and get to the other side, back to where they were in essence, but improved of comfort, of love, and in their relationship. And then this is the final act where they did make it through that trial and tribulation. They did make it through the conversion and the changing of those emotions, and dealing with the hurt that he caused her and the pain that he was not feeling as a result of possibly losing her, and how all that translated and the work through it, I thought was interesting. And I also enjoyed throughout this album, Jay-Z drops several hip-hop references, and particularly in this song, he drops 3: the Still DRE reference, the Common I Used to Love Her reference, and the Streets Is Watching references, all in close proximity within that verse. The other line that kind of really stuck out to me was, "You shoot our self-esteem." That kind of stuck out to me because I took it as, not only is he talking about you shooting our self-esteem, but literally you're shooting us, which is shooting our self-esteem. Because when we see images of black men dying and being shot by the police, and they're not gaining any consequences as a result of that, it makes us feel like we're devalued. It makes us feel our lives doesn't matter, which is going to affect your self-esteem. So I thought that was an interesting approach to it as well, and that police brutality, the effects of that, and the police and the effects of the images that we're seeing of degrading black women, devaluing black men, has reverberating effects on us, and that we need to balance that out with making sure we have positive imagery of black men, black women, building each other up, which adds to the fact that the next track is Friends, which they talk about the people in their circle who never tear them down, who build them up, make them better. And necessarily when they say don't tear them down, that doesn't mean that they don't get criticism. But the criticism is for the purpose to help them be better versus just to tear them down. Constructive criticism is, I think, what they're talking about as in that regard. And this is also one of my favorite songs as well. Just for me, I have a very small circle of friends, and I'm very, very busy. I'm extremely busy trying to get all my businesses going, and so I can secure financial freedom for me and my family and my friends. But I do take the time to definitely check up on the friends and family in my circle. So I hope that they know that, when I do check on them, and I'm just, I might send them a text saying just, "Hey, how are you doing?" That's my way of showing you that's how much I care. Is I'm taking the time away from things that I know I need to be doing to push the goals and dreams that I have, but I want to take that time to make sure that they're okay too. So hopefully they understand that. You would hope that that feeling is reciprocated. That's also pushed throughout this song. And I kind of took last note on that is this kind of might be subtle jabs at Kanye, because this might explain the things that Jay-Z as well as Beyonce talk about. And Jay-Z might, because of the way that he brings up Tata and the way that he brings up what he qualifies and determines as friends, kind of indicates that. And he was like, basically that, he doesn't have time, but he made the time. Which, if you take that to what was said that Kanye brought up about how they didn't even show up to his wedding, that might speak to it. Because if they were as close friends as maybe that they thought, or that Kanye thought, he might have taken the time to go to that wedding. Again, I don't know, but that's kind of where my brain went when I heard this song and thought about how it was released, as well as Kanye releasing these 5 albums. The next song is Black Effect. I really enjoy Black Effect as well, because it kind of highlights and celebrating being black and how proud we are of it. And the piano in the beginning, or the piano through the production, reminded me of a Brother Ali song called Own Light. Just, again, both of those songs evoke, positive feelings and inspiration to do more, create more, be better. So I really enjoy that track as well. And to me, overall, this entire album kind of evoked those emotions of trying to do better, be better. And then the album ends with Love Happy, which has a very bombastic rap feel in the production and the way that they're writing over the production, kind of that 1-2 back and forth kind of flow between Jay-Z and Beyonce. Interesting in that track, they get very real, and there's sections where it's kind of more of them talking to themselves, of like putting each other on blast, but it's like in fun. And to me, it kind of highlighted the fact that they're really over it. When you can laugh about things that, used to cause you pain, that kind of shows to me that, you have evolved over it. To me, when you can't talk about the things that caused you pain, that means you haven't worked through it. Again, I might be wrong. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not trying to be, but that's how I view it for me personally, is if I can't talk about it, I can't be open to laugh about it. And that's not everything, but there's certain things that, you should be able to laugh and move past it. And so that's kind of where I took it. And it was a great way to end the track, giving positivity. And this is a summer album. Now, what I'll say in regards to the overall album, like I said, I do enjoy it. It does seem more Beyonce's album than Jay-Z's. On first listen, I thought it was an even mix. But after multiple listens, I feel like it's definitely more heavily weighted towards Beyonce in the feel, but Jay-Z definitely did his thing and made sure that when he was highlighted that he was poignant. So let me know what you think about this album. Let me know what you think about the Teyana Taylor album. Let us know what you think about all of the 5 albums that we did. Definitely check those out. Head over to YouTube, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, I should say. And, definitely subscribe on YouTube. Definitely follow us on Instagram at the Stay Woke Podcast with D-Ray or the Sonic Breakdown. I want to say thank you for everybody for listening to another Stay Woke podcast. You know our motto: live, listen to some great music, and above all, love more. We're out.